Oh, you're live. Hold on. It is.
Recording in progress.
And then just close to the public, right?
Mhm.
All right, thank you.
Good afternoon, and welcome to William Boyd Go Team meeting where we will follow the agenda as it has been emailed to you. I've also posted it in the chat and publicly noted. I would like to remind everyone that this is a meeting of the Go Team. Only members of the team may participate in the discussion. Any members of the public present are here quietly to observe. For members of the Go Team, please identify yourself when you speak. I am pleased to call this meeting of the William and Boys Go Team to order at 4:01 p.m. Our first order of business is to call roll. The secretary will now take the roll.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Please respond, present when I call your name. Brittany White. Andrea Pritchard.
Present.
LaFreddie Smith.
Present.
Tori Sumlin.
Good afternoon, President.
Tim McNeely.
Present.
Shakira Spearman.
Present. This team will only be able to take action if a quorum is present. Dr. Littlejohn, is there a quorum present?
Yes, there is.
Now we'll move on to our action items. Our first order of business is to approve the agenda. This was provided to you. I've given you all a copy as well as I posted within the chat. Are there any changes to the agenda?
No, Little John. Yes.
Not
Oh,
the
not the
agenda.
agenda, no.
May I have a motion to approve of the agenda?
Motion to approve.
A second?
Second.
All in favor say aye. So the secretary can record your vote. All opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions, please say abstain. Now we will review and approve the minute meetings from our last meeting. The minutes have been provided to you and they are also within the chat. Are there any corrections?
Yes, there is. There was a typo in the date for the January meeting is listed as January 25th, and it is actually the 22nd.
May I have a motion to approve the corrections from the last meeting minutes?
Motion to approve.
And may I have a second?
I say.
Wait, I'm sorry, it was listed as the 25th, and it's actually the 22nd.
Okay, so I am asking for a motion to change the date of the meeting minutes to the correct date. May I have a motion to change to the correct date?
Motion to approve.
Okay, may I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to our additional items at this time. We will now move to filling a vacant seat. Before we begin the process, I'd like to remind the Go Team members of the following. The principal brings forth the nominations for the vacant seat. All Go Team members have at least only one vote per seat. Individuals filling the seat will serve until the conclusion of the seat's term. We will now fill the vacant seat. Principal Blair, do you have any nominations for our Go Team's vacant seat?
Yes, ma'am. I would like to fill our community seat with Mr. Tim McNeely.
Thank you, Principal Blair. We will now proceed to vote on this nomination for Timothy Neely to fill the vacant position of community member. Does anyone have any comments or discussion about this nominee? All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed, please raise your hand. Any abstentions? Now we'll move forward with filling the vacant seat of our parent. Principal Blair, do you have any nominations to fill our parent vacant seats?
Yes, I would like to recommend Ms. Patricia Tarver as our parent here at Boyd Elementary School.
Thank you, Principal Blair. We will now vote and proceed with this nomination for the filling of a parent vacancy. Does anyone have any comments or discussion about this parent, Patricia Tarver? Any discussions, any questions?
What grade level is her baby?
Ms. Tarver has a student that is in kinder.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, now we'll move to our discussion items on our agenda. We will start with our school strategic plan, followed by the data discussion, and both will be led by Principal Blair.
Are you able to see my screen, everyone?
It is, but it's small.
Okay, hold on. Let
It
me.
is, if you can zoom it in a little bit for us, please.
Mhm. Is that better?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. We are going to begin today's meeting.
Mayor, if you could, unmute yourself so we can hear you, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can everyone hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to begin today's meeting with review of our 2021 through 2025 strategic plan. So there is a review of information from our workbook. Those of you that sat on our GO team last year, each year the school is asked in a 3-year cycle, 3 to 4 year cycle, to complete a strategic plan, which helps to develop our goals to support our scholars here at Boyd Elementary School. So I have pulled our strategic plan, which we will utilize this year, and it will expire, and next year we will create a new strategic plan for the next 3 years. So just reviewing this quickly with you, just a second. We have our mission is to develop future STEAM leaders using the 21st century essential skills, including collaboration, communication, problem solving, creativity, and critical thinking. And our vision remains the same, where we engage students and stakeholders in inquiry-based instruction that challenges their curiosity, connects their learning with content, and applies experimental experiences that foster ingenuity. So our goals listed for the 2-3 year period were for literacy, and I'm going to skim over this piece because we have some discussion. We are literacy, we should have gone from 22.4 to 28%. Numeracy, which is math, we should see an increase, a minimum of 3%. And then whole child, we were looking at our attendance here, where students were absent less than 10% of their enrolled date, as evidenced in CCRPI, from 45.8 to 45.8 from 40%. So our primary focus in literacy was writing, as well as strengthening our professional learning communities for our teachers. So we have worked on those consistently this year. Staff, as you know, we are a state school now represented as a TSI school, a targeted support instruction for small group, specifically for our special education programs. We have barriers with our wraparound services and we are removing our barriers with our wraparound services, or attempting to this year. So we do have our counselor, social worker, parent liaison, disproportionality specialist, MTSS, and our own chair is our attendance specialist here on our team. As well as equip and empower our leaders and staff. This year, the district has really poured into instruction. Dr. Johnson, we want to really thank him, because We now are being supported through our instructional department with our instructional district literacy coaches in all content areas that are supporting our PLCs, lesson plan reviews, as well as teacher walks instruction throughout our building. And then we are, through our WCI team, spearheading the support with our parent liaison and family engagement specialists and our attendance specialists to increase our attendance of our elementary school children. Any questions about this graph here that I've shown you? All right. So as I said before, this is our data and our percentages we would like to see increased on our Georgia Milestone assessments. We will review this in our chart below. So I am going to click to our strategic plan, our SIP plan, and our key indicator. Now, I know this is tiny. There is a lot of information. So based on the strategic plan that I just read to you, from the left to the right, we're going to start with our first bubble in our discussion. These are actually, let's do the first two. Both of them are based on instruction. The first one is for English language arts reading, and our second one is for mathematics. Our strategic internalize, and we are going to internalize our Department of Georgia Education Learning Plans and hold sacred our PLC as well as our data analyzation time in our master schedule. We want to identify and consistently implement effective writing plans. So our goal in our SIP goal this year, in order to support instruction for our students, is by the end of 2025, Dr. Johnson has tasked every school to increase a minimum of 5%. So what you will see is our goals here, and then we are to increase by 5%, focusing specifically on our SWD students. So our goal in 2025, our proficient students in 2025 was 19%. We want to, Dr. John, you'll mute your computer, Little John. We want to increase from 19% to 24% for our general ed students from 25-26. And our SWD students, we actually had none of our children scoring proficient range last year. And so now we would like to see them move from 0% to 5% proficient on our ELG. So for our key indicators, that is falling under our subgroup proficiency for students with disabilities. The same thing is occurring for our mathematics department. We want to see our children scoring proficient or above from 23% in 24-25 to 28% in 25-26. Our SWD students, again, we want to increase them from 0 to 5% for our subgroup proficiency student with disabilities. And here's our main priority that we are focusing on as well is our attendance. So our attendance went from 49.4%, and we would like to see an increase, and I know it's a large increase, to 65% for CCRPI initiatives, behavioral interventions, in order to support our scholars here at Boyd Elementary School. So this is the meat of the work. The meat of the work falls under instruction. The meat of the work falls under attendance. We know if the children are not in attendance, that we cannot have instruction. And then supporting our teachers, including our novice special ed teachers, with the district support from the special instructional specialists. So all of this has now become, per se, our hamburger in order to complete what we need to support our students. When we look at this data, are there any questions around it? Are there any wonderings? Are there any additional supports that you can come up with as staff, as well as parents and community members, in order to support our scholars here at Boyd Elementary School?
You say supports. So thinking about when my daughter was here last year in 5th grade, what I noticed a decline with her math scores. And so one of the supports that we put in place for her was that we was intentional with the small group instruction and also with the tutoring, both at school and at home.
Okay.
More specifically with the iExcel platform, because it was self-paced and it moved at her pace, and it also gave multiple examples. So if she didn't understand one example, there were work through sessions that she was able to, sit down and work with it.
So how did the iExcel, sorry, hold on, let me unmute myself. How did iExcel support your child with her deficit? Did you find that the plans that were in iExcel, when it showed her deficits, her specific deficits, I believe they were in mathematics.
Mhm.
When you saw those plans, how much time did that take from you and your wife in order to support her online instruction?
So consistently, like if we did it consistently, not just like doing Monday through Friday, we also had to give up Sundays as well. So during the week, we did 20 minutes of math, and in addition to the math, we also did a little ELA as well because it didn't hurt. So all in all, I'm going to say she did about 40 minutes per day. But then on Sundays, we had to really, really sit her down and say, hey, you got to give us an hour or hour and 15 minutes, and you have to be intentional about it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Sutherland, I see your hand.
Attendance. What are you seeing as an issue with the attendance now? Is it students that you still haven't been able to locate, or you've located them and they're just missing days, or they're coming in late and that's calculating to the number of days that's absent? What's happening with the attendance there?
So unfortunately, unlike high school, the tardies do not contribute to our school absences. The numbers are real. What we found with our students who impact our attendance, it is a history of attendance problems. So a lot of our students have had these attendance issues since kinder, and they have just kind of followed them along the way. As it relates to the parent engagement with those families, it is little to none, and so we've tried pretty much everything except we put a red nose on and just become a clown. But we have tried all of those things. What we can get better on doing is being more intentional about the family engagement for whole school, so that those parents can feel more inclusive versus the parents with attendance kind of just being singled out, but no one knows they're being singled out. But we do have to have those candid conversations and those small group conversations with those parents together. It's pretty much the same parents. We filter out those parents and those students who do not live in the area. And because they are elementary school students, it's really the parental support. So we're lacking the parental support as it relates to the parents getting the students here after they miss the school bus. We've seen trends for some students who have poor attendance, with Mondays and Fridays being tough days. And to be honest, none of our, for instance, when the natural disaster happened and some of our families who lived in Etheridge were impacted, it was only 2 or 3 apartments. So it's not even, it's really a parent thing. We have clocks. We put in donor shoes to get clocks, especially for our 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders who kind of have the ability to kind of get themselves dressed in the morning and get themselves out the door. Just talking to them a little bit about responsibility and kind of getting up, and after we've had that conversation with the parents. So the attendance is low because it's just a trend in families. We have a huge number of family groups. So if one sibling is sick and it's a household of 5, guess what? That's at least 5 students will be absent that day. And so it's kind of a cultural thing, a community thing, and to shift that, we have to wrap our services more so. We talked about that today in our one of our meetings about that adult and parental wraparound services. So those are some of the things that we're tapping into to see if that'll kind of help change, because we have identified those families where the parent needs the additional support in order to successfully support the student.
And Ms. Spearman, before I call on you, Ms. Taylor, I think that we're finding, and I don't know if Mr. McNeely can help with this as well as you, Chief Sumlin, we're finding that a lot of our children that are enrolled are using addresses again in Woodland Heights that are known as Etheridge. And we're receiving children that I think is an uptick in our numbers as we discuss our students with disabilities and trying to support those families. Many of the families are moving throughout the Atlanta Public Schools and finding Boyd and using our addresses in Woodland Heights again.
Have you attempted to have a discussion with management there?
So this was a conversation that we were able to have today during our WCI meeting. And we have notated several of those families, and Ms. Frazier is going to reach out. She said that you had an NPU meeting that she just attended. Did you have one this
Yes.
week? Okay.
On that Thursday, yes.
Okay, and I told her we need to utilize between myself, the team, and then you and Mr. McNeely in order to figure out where these families really reside. Are these really our children? And then if they need supports to get them to the school that they should attend, we want them there unless they've requested permission as they should, special permission to attend Boyd Elementary School. But we're seeing a lot of our attendance is based on the transiency that we're seeing with these families driving across town or catching Ubers and dropping the kids off at 11 o'clock, which is almost a half a day.
So when we look at, well, two questions that you just brought up. You brought up another one. First question. So for those students that have the special permission
Mm-hmm.
to attend the school out of their zone, are any of those, again, this only applies to those, are any of those impacting the attendance?
So, yes and no. What I found we only have two that, we actually did residency on, and they were granted permission to stay. So they impact attendance because they do have, they have tardies, but, last year they did good after the conversation was had. So this year we have to revisit the conversation with those parents, about getting them here on time. So, because they do have special permission, the relationship with those parents are a little different. And so it'll just take a conversation to just let them know that we are monitoring that attendance again. And this year starts over, with the expectations of the students still being here. The only problem we will run into with their special permission, well, not necessarily special permission, what we refer to as double up, is we do have some fifth graders that have come back who have utilized addresses that they don't reside, and we know that they don't reside there. But because they are fifth graders, sometimes the district still allows them to stay until the end of the school year. And they live as an attendance problem, and they have come back to us, not necessarily as an attendance problem yet, but they are definitely high on our radar. So we talked about some preventive things to kind of put in place for those parents, but we are aware of all of the kids who impact of our attendance. We are aware of the kids, down to the trends in what days they come and don't come, as well as any family history, because again, these are the same families that we've been working with for a very long time. I think this year we may have 2 new families, that we haven't worked with in the past, and they kind of just came and just let poor attendance rain down on us. But everybody else's families we've been working with year after year. This is my 7th year at board.
This, so the families that you've identified over at 2500 that have a question mark about attendance, you all have all of them identified?
So we do. And that's just a query. Last year, Mr. McNeely was able to give us a list of the actual leaseholders and the students affiliated within those apartments. So it makes it extremely tricky, because what ends up happening is, because we do have several families that utilize the same address, 1 or 2 things can happen. Well, the first thing that is supposed to happen is, if you're utilizing if you're utilizing a home address and you are not the person on the lease, you have to have an affidavit. So they're bringing the affidavits already, notarized to the school. However, I did create a system this school year where I asked our registrar to kind of go in for me and identify those families that provided the affidavit but did not provide the additional things that supported the affidavit. And those supporting documents include pieces of mail that comes to that residence. That's for the affidavit, and those are the things for the affidavit. Now, if they are using the address and they cannot provide those supporting documents, this is where it gets tricky. They can possibly still stay if they use the catchphrase homeless. So that changes the whole dynamic of what that looks like for us. If they say that they're homeless, we cannot turn them away. That's just what it is in a nutshell. And we kind of tried with Principal Blair all the way up to the district level support. They will kind of make us keep those students here. And so when they use those catchphrases and they kind of know what's going on, they will say that to save themselves. And again, we are stuck with that bad attendance.
Where the attendance now gets to referrals for juvenile court.
So elementary school, they do not do juvenile court. The way that we have kind of been able to dance around that is we look for those families and those kids who have those siblings at John Lewis or at Douglas. And we go in and we look at their attendance, and then the social worker, not myself, but the social worker connects with those social workers to see their trends, and then it has to be done from the middle school or high school level, and then they include all of the students who reside in their home. So that's how we dance around that. But the juvenile court does not recognize elementary school age kids as it relates to educational neglect.
Okay, I'm gonna let you think, Mr. Sumlin. We're gonna let Ms. Taylor come, okay? Go ahead, Ms. Taylor.
Mr. Sumlin just brought up the point that I wanted to ask about the educational neglect. If we could kind of attack this issue from that standpoint, but they just covered that.
Okay, so what I'm finding, even at the principal's meeting yesterday, is that the high school principal asked me about our attendance, because when I went out to a particular school this year and found several of his children, he is now working with me so that we can work with our attendance specialists in order to find our children. But we know that if little Bobby misses school and he has a sibling at Douglas High School, he may most likely be at home or is supposed to be watching his brother or sister. It is hard as a principal to try to match many of the children up because the last names aren't the same. And so in our system here, which is something that I've noticed, and I've spoken to my secretary about, our summary sheets are not clean. And what I mean by that is teachers can't find the siblings. We also can't find the parents. And once we're able to match them up, unless you've been around as long as Mr. Smith and Ms. Spearman have, we don't know who the siblings are, especially as they matriculate to the middle and high school. So we're having to have those conversations, and fortunately enough, I'm glad to have peers that are willing to work with us this year so we can match these families together in order to find out where they are.
And what I can say is, I guess the beauty of it all, the yin and the yang, is that a lot of our families do live in the same community. And so what happens is when they come and enroll a student, sometimes depending on the number of children, mom may not put all of the babies that she has on that application, because in the enrollment application, there is a space that asks whether or not they have other students that attend Atlanta Public Schools. So they may only put the students that they're bringing to Boyd Elementary, but they may have a student at all our schools, well, at our feeder schools within the cluster. But we won't necessarily know about it unless the kids mention it or we're familiar with the family previously. So that's kind of how we get lost when it's time to find those siblings and link those siblings together. And they may not be on our summary sheet because whoever enrolled that student did not put that student's name down to begin with.
Go ahead, Mr. Sumlin.
So, of course, my wheels are still.
Mm-hmm.
Cause you know, I know some folks and I can put some calls into it out there tomorrow.
Okay.
Question to Ms. Spearman, this is for you, since we've been in your back door, all this time. What type of support are you receiving from the district? Not just you, because I know you said you leaning on the registrar. What kind of support are you getting from the district? Because it seems like this is a daunting task to try to find these folks and match them up and clean up all these records from 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 3 years ago, because you were not there in the office when these folks came in to register. So whereas you may have the knowledge, right? Ms. Blair may have the knowledge. You all can look at these documents, or you all can catch things right then that may have gotten passed. And so with the records, to Ms. Blair's point, not being as clean as they should be, what type of additional support are you receiving? Is it something that, and I know we can't, as a community, come in and be looking at certain types of documents, but is it something that we can do to come in to help? Because, you know, my schedule is kind of open, kind of free. You know, I got a lot of folks around in my NPU that don't have anything to do. So is there something that we can do to kind of help a little bit, you know, look at these names and compare these names without, you know, being exposed to documents that we shouldn't be?
So that part, I don't know as it relates to, giving the information without still giving as much information to protect the privacy of the families. But what I do know is we get audited every year. And guess what? We pass every year. The thing is, they don't look at every single folder. And so that's what the district support would look like. If they came in and they looked at every single folder, they would see that every single folder is not a 100% folder. The social worker and I go in, and when we get that aha moment, the light bulb comes on the family, we'll actually go in, get the folder, and present the folder to Principal Blair. And then we see what is missing, and it doesn't necessarily always start at Boyd. They found ways around it this year, I've heard, that now they're going online, doing the online registration, and then it automatically generates to the school secretary for her to pull that registration for that student to come. So if you're uploading documents, and it's not asking you questions, but just only for you to upload, and you make it all the way to the steps to push submit, the next 1 or 2 days, you're expecting for your student to be at this school because even the online system isn't up to par. Again, we passed every audit since I've been here. So the real deal would be having a conversation, and I don't know who would start the conversation because I actually sit in on some of the social worker meetings. And so it's just not Boyd, it's all of the schools having the same problem. And so I don't necessarily know what the process, like what processes they're putting in the district office to kind of level out these problems, but I would think that I would be stepping out on the ledge to say that it would be a district-wide problem, but it definitely is a Douglas cluster problem. And some of the schools who don't receive as much love, we kind of just end up with having these types of problems. Because we've had students that transfer to other schools that's considered Northwest Atlanta, example, probably like a Boltec, and they've been rejected because they don't have all of their documents. But if the parent calls downtown, if they're trying to come here with the same issue, guess what? Let them in. So, yeah, I don't know what the conversations look like outside of this building, but I do know we passed every audit ever since I've been here. And they don't do every folder. They just pick random folders, and it just happens to be a good day.
And so I requested the audit last year when I first started, and the audit didn't occur, I think, until February. I requested an audit of every folder in this building, and it did not happen. It did not, because I had concerns. So I understand what you are saying, Mr. Sumlin, and I know Ms. Spearman exactly who to contact so we can start over again. But it does need to happen, especially with online enrollment. I did bring that up with Dr. Johnson when he has our principals chats with us on Fridays. And the enrollment, even for our children that are serviced through the special education department, we don't know when the children are enrolled and they're enrolled in units. And so that's concerning for me because that's how we ended up on the TSI list. So,
And that was the point that I was coming to.
Mhm.
So Monday, you got that. And I want to ask these questions to tear up. But that's the point that I was about to get to. Because there are scammers. Speaking candidly, at least I can. And we know that there are systems in place that, let's just say Department of Driver Services or DFACS, right? They have these systems in place that can identify.
Can I get Donnell Green for dismissal? Donnell Green for dismissal.
We don't have that same.
What
We
did he
don't
say?
have that same ability to
This
identify
kid wins.
if these folks have uploaded the proper documents to Ms. Fairless' point, supporting documents that haven't been submitted online or identify things not, factual documents. Because now the district is looking and saying, okay, well, you guys have made the list. Yeah, but we didn't make the list on our own doing. There are mitigating factors that got us to this point. And so that's kind of what I want to touch on. I see Ms. Taylor saying this up, and I know I got ahead of her the last time, so I'm gonna pause.
No, I just wanted to piggyback off of what you were saying, because there are systems to where, we know they make up documents. But I did hear that some of the voters aren't complete, and I've never done an online registration, but when those, select few come through, those kids that do the online registration, when that registration comes through, are we not able to streamline that, kind of spring that, at a school level, automatically enroll online, your kid is automatically accepted? Because it seems like some of this stuff we can kind of catch, at our level too. Well, not our level, because I don't work there, but it seems like that's some things that can be kind of taught in-house as well. From what I'm hearing, or I really don't know that process, but can you kind of clarify that?
So to my understanding, Principal Blair, correct me if I'm wrong, the district, starting this year especially, the plan was for all applications for enrollment to be done online, right? Is that something that we're supposed to implement this year?
it was supposed to be implemented this year. However, Board Secretary sent out paper copies after it was asked that it's done online. And so even the families that were sent the paper copies had the opportunity. I'm sorry. Can you mute yours, Experience, quickly? Okay. The paper copies were mailed out to the families. And then when I returned from the principal's meeting in June, I asked why we were sending 2 copies. Because now we know with paper copies, it's easy really to forge documents. And then at least I can monitor. What I do get back, Ms. Taylor, to your question, is I get a kickback if something is missing if it is done online. So for instance, I've received, I think it was 7 today, that told me what items or documents were missing from online enrollments today. And then I can then in turn go to my secretary and say, hey, these children don't have this. Have you checked before you enroll them in the system?
But for the one, and that kind of clears it up, or for the ones that aren't, even if it doesn't give, like an error or what have you, are we able to kind of screen those, those files to make sure, because I did in the spirit would say that if you say yes, or if you don't say no, it doesn't ask to upload documents. But are we able to go through and kind of screen those? Because if it's just populating, let's say, an affidavit, and you just, bypass through that, but you don't have the supporting documentation, but the system, if I'm understanding correctly, is not even flagging it. It's just saying that, hey, you said no, or you said yes to a question. That's good. Are we able to kind of go in and kind of streamline to make sure that everything that you said is appropriate, or if not, the things that are there are, the correct documentation to make these folders complete?
So what should happen is the secretary registrar should go through, and any of those documents that are missing, even though we are asked to enroll those children immediately, we should have a flag in Infinite Campus for any of those items that are missing for 30 days. And within that 30-day period, she should follow up to get those documents. And if those documents aren't collected, then those children should be withdrawn. So what's happening now is that I am putting additional work on Ms. Spearman, not even my social worker. I'm putting it on Ms. Spearman to say, hey, I can't look at all of these every single day. She brings me the ones that she finds immediately. I find some just because I'm concerned about a particular situation. And then I have to have the back conversation in order to find out where these children actually should be enrolled. Do they have the appropriate documentation, even down to student records? So right now, that is a personnel issue that I know of, that I have. I'm be very, very honest with you. But we have been practicing what's necessary. There has been a checklist given. Everything should be in that folder. We are finding those missing items are not being followed up within that 30-day period. So I think today in our meeting, we said, well, this is day 36 or 37, Ms. Spearman? And so I haven't gotten a list from said person to tell me which children are missing those documents. However, I get those emails that tell me that they are missing.
And so I did create, Ms. Taylor, a registration review for this school year. It was a Google form that I created myself. And so I did give it to the person who kind of is in charge of the registration. And so two of my biggest things that were on my radar included affidavits. And so with that affidavit portion of the form that I created, it basically is asking, did this student or did this family provide additional mail or any documents to support that says that they stayed there, right? And so they are being asked to fill that form out, to fill the Google form out, answer all of those questions. And so in my spreadsheet, I should be able to see that. Also, I did one for registration, did this, let me see what it says. Let me read my questions. So as for student name, student's grade, date of enrollment. So here's the other thing. If a student we have something where what we call conditional enrollment. Conditional enrollment, a family has 30 days from the date of the student's enrollment to present any items that we ask for. So my ask was for them to fill out this form that I created with the student's name, student's grade, date of enrollment. And then then the next question is, does this student have a conditional enrollment due to missing documents? So a missing document could be a birth certificate, it could be ear, eye, vision, it could be a social security card, it could be all of the things that you need to register, right? So if you say yes, then it takes you to another portion, and then it was asked that the person actually clicks on all of those documents that the person has missing. Again, with that enrollment date, so that we can have a tally to keep up. Just trying to clean up our folders so we can have an actual date. So and a reference date to go back and say, okay, now it is September 25th. This student was enrolled on August 24th. They have met their 30 days. Here's a letter to mom. And the same thing goes for those students who have an affidavit. I did the big work. I created it, and I have 9 responses, but I know that I have more than 9 students that are actually using an affidavit, and I have more than 9 students who may possibly be here enrolled conditionally because they are missing some type of form that makes their registration form complete. So it'll be just another soft ask, and we'll continue to move forward. But there is already something in place that I actually made for us at the school to start that monitoring of what that looks like for those kids.
I have more, but in the interest of time, because Ms. Blair can see it in my face, I'm gonna put the pin in it so that Ms. Spearman and Ms. Blair and I can have our sidebar conversation when they have some time, because I have some comments and things to say.
I'm sure there'll be more back to join with us. Trust me, Ms. Taylor will come in as well. Not worried about it. All right. So if we can, let's move on. Miss Vivian, turn it on. Okay, so we're gonna move on to our scores from our CRCT. I'm sorry, woo, I went way back, you all. Woo, the GMAS. So these are our math. We're gonna look at our math scores from GMAS as well as ELA scores from GMAS and our recent fall MAP scores. So as you can see, our data is from 2nd through 5th grade for GMAS. And hold on a minute, y'all. I may have mixed this up. The first one is MAP. I apologize. The first one is MAP for 25-26. Boyd Elementary School is sitting at 35% not proficient as compared to our team members in the cluster. What I do want to recognize is one, although we're sitting at the top, our 5th grade cohort is our cohort with the highest number of students that are in our special services department. And so we are now still trying to work with those children. We do have a teacher that will not return until approximately November 1st that's out, that teaches one of our core content areas. We have our teachers in for science, which our children did not fare well with, which you will see in GMAS. And we have our math teacher supporting that actually matriculated with the children from 4th grade to 5th grade. So our math scores are such that I'm concerned about 3rd, 4th, and 5th, primarily 5th, because you can see that 52% of those scholars, 52% of those scholars, where the majority of our children are sitting for special services, are not scoring proficient currently with our fall MAP assessment. Looking at our ELA, ELA is sitting at 46% based on our partners, 46%, but again, let's look at our 2nd graders who are still being read to first semester. And then let's look at our 5th graders that are still receiving services and a high number of services for special ed for ELA grades 3 through 5. 50% of our students in 5th grade currently with our new curriculum are still struggling. We will not know if that curriculum is working. We're seeing the growth in the classroom and the assessments, but we are not seeing it on the beginning MAP assessments. Looking at our GMAS from last year. So the kids that you're seeing in 5th grade here, GMAS from last year, are now 6th graders in one of our cluster middle schools. So we are focused really on our 3rd and 4th grade. I want to tell you that the 5th graders that left were also an additional cohort that we saw a mass of students that were needed servicing through our special education department, as well as the 22 kids that are outside of our school that we were unaware of when we began. So Boyd is sitting at 35% for math. We saw strong growth between our 3rd and 4th grade teachers. They really worked hard. And our numbers increased where we actually have more children in the green passing proficient than we did in previous years. So we're excited about that growth for math. ELA, if you look again, our cohort that we sent to 6th grade still was struggling. But look at where we are that is actually consistent for our current 5th graders, which were our previous 4th graders. We're sitting at 52% for ELA last year, ELA reading. We're sitting at 52% for our total of the building, which is a concern. So we're hoping that our new programs, we are focusing on small group instruction. We are putting primary concerns on our novice teachers, supporting them through SDI strategies, which is specifically design instruction. So our children that need small group strategies, small group strategies, have those tasks in place when they start class and are ready for teaching and learning. And then science, as I said, our science class here is where we saw a 1% increase. From the previous year where they had 33% growth, we saw 1%. We had a novice teacher, and I'll be honest, in 5th grade, I did move every teacher on that grade level in order to support our 5th graders this year. That was the best thing to do in order to support instruction in 5th grade. So I am believing in our current 5th grade teachers for the growth necessary for our scholars. Any questions around the data that I just showed you before I talk about our grows and glows? Okay. So overall, we saw for our general ed students in the environment, we saw significant growth. If we had only been scored on our growth for Gen Ed, we are off the charts for Gen Ed, and we were excited about it. 3rd grade had our highest growth in the school for 3 through 5. I am also seeing an increase in student buy-in with the new HMH reading curriculum and ELA curriculum in our building. I'm hoping that the district will actually keep the program in the building so we have 3 years of data to support so we know if it's working. And then an increase in our district instructional support for ELA, math, and science. Our grows. 5th grade, we saw a significant decline in all contents where I made the adjustment in staff. We know that we earn no points for our overall Department of Special Education in this building, 3 through 5. I adjusted the teaching staff, as I said before, and then we are placing our primary supports on our professional learning communities, our lesson planning for staff on Tuesdays, and our weekly Wednesday data meetings. 3 through 5 are our primary targets for instruction, but everyone stays for lesson planning and data meetings on Tuesday and Wednesday. Any questions around this information? Questions, comments? Go ahead, Mr. Summerlin.
Can you, not keeping about it very long, just very quickly, can you talk about, can you see a benefit from that district level support?
Yes, I can. The communication is definitely better. The buy-in, I am able to ask for help, and they are coming out to provide assistance, not just to myself, not just to my admin, but our instructional coaches, as well as the teach backs within the classroom. So that's something that's new that we didn't have before. And the communication for that has been phenomenal this year. We're excited about that.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so timelines for our Go teams. We have our strategic plan that was developed from 21 to 25. The school leadership team needs an assessment defining our overarching goals. We did our organizational meeting in August. We've also completed our SIP that was sent in and approved. I had to have that completed the first week of August and approved and sent to the state. September through December, we will review our current progress and our strategic plan, and we will begin developing our plans for 2025 through 2030. We know that Dr. Johnson is stating that he wants to see a 20% increase in all areas on our SIP. So we have to remember that this year begins our first 5%. And before winter break, Go Team will take an action to vote on the rank of the strategic plan priorities for 26-27, as well as our budget discussion, which will be big this year. We know that we are skimming back. So leading with that, let's talk about our budget real quick. All right, so I'm sorry.
We will now move on to information items. First, it is the principal's report, followed by APS Forward 2040 Comprehensive Long Range Facilities Plan Update.
All right. Sorry, Ms. Mary. All right, can you hear me?
No.
You can't?
Oh, yeah, I can.
Okay, all right. It's okay, it's almost 5 o'clock. All right, everyone, so in our principal's report, we talk about leveling, and here we are, and I want us to look, because when I said that we will have deep discussions, and remember, our information that is held in our Go Team meetings is public, but I want us always to think about our staff that's in this building and how it could affect our staff. Our projected enrollment should have increased to 439 students this year, coming from Woodson Grove Park. That information was not publicized, from my understanding, correctly to those parents. And so with that, we were at a difference of 62 children. So they allowed half of the children to come. So if the siblings were in a specific grade, they sent the lower level children, so maybe pre-K through third, to Boyd, and they kept fifth grade, fourth or fifth grade, or vice versa. They had a pick of the children that they sent to our building as well as another school. So we were at a negative $369,644 at the end of our 15-day count. They took $7,500 from our Title I. They took another $250 from our Title I family engagement. And Dr. Johnson, because he is such a kind person, that $261,949 would have been positions here in this building that we would have had to come back and talk about, that I would have had to release or move into another school immediately. Okay? So when we think about it, we were held harmless this year, but we know that on the back end, it's going to come back during budget season. So as we start talking about what's necessary to support children in this building, I need you to already think that we are $261,949 in the hole, and they took $115,000 that we needed this year. Okay? Questions around the budget? Ooh, that made everyone quiet. All right, so that's what I was holding on to all this time. So we did not, hold on, let me move the screen so I can see what's at the top. We did not have any leveling reserve. My leveling reserve was taken, so that's that negative $115,445. The Title I holdback is in red because they took $7,500. And we didn't have a budget adjustment because they held us harmless. All right. Ms. Spearman, may I proceed with the comprehensive long-range facility plan? All right, so here's the positive currently. Please pay attention, those families and community members we have online. Please, 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 because each and every month it seems as if there is a change. Right now, Boyd is not being affected. Our enrollment as of last week, Tuesday, is looking to increase in 2027 to 725 children in this building. So please go online if you have not looked at the recent presentation, because it is up. They are consolidating some schools the way it is based currently, and I prefer for you to go online and look at it yourself. And then attend the meetings for the comprehension long-range facility plans and ask others to attend with you, because it does affect our Douglas cluster and it could possibly affect Boyd. So make sure, right now we're not a target, and I want to keep it that way, but make sure that your voice is heard, please. So the date set of the upcoming meeting is October 20th and November 10th. There is one always held virtually at noon and an in-person at 6 p.m. at our CLL building at 130 Trinity Avenue. This information that you see here on this slide can also be found on our APS webpage. And then information about our school that we're excited about tomorrow. Sorry, hold on just a second.
Before she dives in, let me give her introduction to our next segment. Does anyone have any announcements?
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Spearman, thank you. I have an announcement. Tomorrow, September 26th, is Bring Your Parents to School Day. So from 9 to 11 o'clock, you may bring your parents to school. Our students will, our parents will actually follow their children in their classes. And at 11, from 11 to 1 in our main lobby, we're praying that it doesn't rain. We wanted to have it outside, but we will have food distribution. Thank you to IHG, and Urban Recipe They will provide the foods for the families. So anyone that has a child here in this building that lives in your neighborhood, please tell them if they are in need to come, follow their children from 9 to 11, and then Urban Recipe will provide them bags of food. And last year it was great. They had salmon and eggs and milk out here distributing it to the families. So if you know anyone that attends this school and their child should be here, they need to come to school tomorrow with their babies.
And then I have an additional announcement, to add to, oh, you still have it? Oh, go ahead and announce it.
All right, and then we have bring our full go team for our G3 Summit on Saturday, September 27th from 8:30 to 2:30, and it will be at ACCA at 1090 Windsor Avenue Street Southwest. So it's learning more about our strategic plans, planning for it for 2025 to 2030, our stakeholder engagement, and any charter systems and much more. So they would like us to bring our full go team. I know this is last minute. That is this weekend. If you can attend, email me. If not, we will find the information and we will talk about it. And we can possibly have a small go team meeting in between our next scheduled meeting to discuss what was reviewed during the G3 Summit. Ms. Spearman, turning it back over to you.
Thank you. I would like to also add, in addition to the Bringing Parents School Day, the food distribution, I kind of worked out the runner show for the day. And so to tap into the parental engagement piece, we are having parents to stop at the media center first in order to get a ticket before they go down to the classroom. During that time, we will parents will register for Infinite Campus, so they can have Infinite Campus access to the parent portal for Infinite Campus, as well as do their class dojo if they're not already connected. And then from there, they'll then go out and visit the classroom. I actually have a cutoff time for about 10:45 to start gathering parents back up to the front so that we can start the food distribution. Mr. McNeely, I will email you a copy of, and Mr. Sumley, if you would like, I will email you all a copy of the flyer. Most importantly, is the QR code or the link to use to register. We are projected to have 250 boxes of food to offer to families and the community on tomorrow. So right now, I only have 119 that pre-registered. So we still have a lot more to give out. So if you all don't mind sharing the flyer and the link for registration for families who don't have kids in our school, they can get here as early as 10:45, so they can already be in line for that 11 o'clock distribution. But we will distribute up until 1 o'clock. Preferably, we'll be finished distributing by 1 o'clock because we have to do it indoors. In addition to that, mark your calendars for October 28th. That is our projected Fall Fest / Trunk or Treat event. I am looking for volunteers within the community to come and utilize their cars. It'll be a Fall Fest where we will actually have games for students to play, academic games for reading and math. And then I think we said about 6 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
About 6 o'clock, we'll actually start distributing candy. So we need volunteers because the teacher's responsibility by grade level will be for them to actually do their cars and be able to actually play the games at their cars. Someone suggested just setting up their cars and doing the games in front of their cars, but we actually need additional volunteers because it will be a long day. And so Principal Blair has asked to kind of trade out their
Attention all wings leaders, can I please get Aiden Green for dismissal, Rayanne Bowles for dismissal, as well as Aziza Frazier for dismissal, Ken Purdue for dismissal.
Okay. So we are asking, Principal Blair will do a trade out for a after school meeting for the teachers to utilize that time to make that day fun. During that day, the plan is to have music, a DJ, and possibly 1 or 2 food vendors. So that is something that I'm working on. But most importantly, we actually need volunteers for their cars for that trunk or treat. We did Tuesday because that's the day that the teachers will be staying after school anyway. versus the actual day of Halloween, and our time to be done for the day is 6 o'clock. So they'll be home and they'll be off the premises, start leaving the premises at 6 o'clock so that they can have the rest of their evening. In addition to that, this is a reminder that our next meeting is scheduled for October 30th. That is a Thursday, and it will start at 4:30. So again, our next meeting is Thursday, October 30th. Hybrid, but we are more than welcome to have you face to face, actually in our media center. So please pass that along.
Is that public comment?
I don't have my calendar, so I do not know.
That was public
It
comment.
is public, so our next meeting is public comment, and anyone who logs in outside of the Go Team will be able to ask questions at that time. Again, Mr. McNeely and Mr. Sumlin, I will email you the flyer with the QR code so that the community can come, regardless of having students here at the school, in order to participate for the food pickup on tomorrow. At this time, we have reached the end of our agenda. Is there any
Hold on,
additional business?
Mr. Sumlin has
Oh,
his hand
sorry.
up.
Do you have the flyer already for the fall festival yet?
I have not gotten a flyer for the fall festival, but I can get that done. I'll have that to you by Monday, okay? Is that okay?
Ms. Spearman, what was the date again for the fall festival?
I have down with, 10/28, it's a Tuesday, from 4 to 6. Also, I've sent out a flyer for, donations for, candy donations, cause we usually get donations school-wide, and so that each car, if they want to bring candy, that is also welcome, but also to distribute candy throughout all of the cars, for that distribution. Another thing I've asked, is for pumpkins, because I wanted to make it a little fun, right? It's Halloween, in this fall. I asked in Class Dojo for parents to donate in addition and or a pumpkin for their class to decorate, because I want to have a pumpkin decorating contest. Pinterest is just taking over, and I have a great idea and I can't wait. So we are looking for pumpkin donations. My plan is to go to Publix and get some pumpkins and see what that looks like. But we are not the closest school to the Publix that is closest to us, but I'm still going. So again, if you can get us some big pumpkins so that I can distribute them amongst the classrooms, that'll be greatly appreciated as well. So,
When do you need them, Ms. Spearman?
the pumpkins should be, to the school before our fall festival, because we kind of want to showcase. And, my goal is to have some community, judges so that it can remain fair. So I just won't be the winner, but, so that is the goal. So before October 28th, just a nice size pumpkin so that it can be, so that teachers can have the space to be as creative as they want to be and that they know how to be. And so, yeah, before October 28th. And again, Mr. Sumlin, I will have that flyer to you by Monday.
And Mr. McNeely.
And Mr. McNeely. So I have two takeaways. I will have the Fall Fest flyer by Monday, and I will email you the flyer for the food distribution by the time this meeting ends. So I've been waiting to say this line since 5:08. We have now reached the end of our agenda. Is there any additional business at this time? May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I motion to adjourn the meeting.
A second?
Second.
Oh, all in favor? Please raise your hand. All opposed, raise your hand. Any abstentions, please raise your hand. Well, the meeting is adjourned officially at 5:09 p.m. Again, we will see you all on Thursday at 10:30, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, everyone.
Well, y'all, we only made it 9 minutes later. I mean, it ain't that bad. Don't check it out. Yes, ma'am. I just need to copy this.